Hello, what's going on, everyone? I am back for another video on Life of Kiani J. I am Kiani. All right, so today, oh man, Sunday evening post. And I usually don't post anything on social media like that, or let alone on Sunday nights. Generally, I'm pretty busy with work, well, my primary hustle, and all the other stuff I have going on around the house and so on. So I generally don't have much time for uh, video uploads, but I keep pushing. I was like, all right, let me just do at least one video a day or something like that. Just keep them short, keep the content coming, and then every so often tweak it and, get better at my craft and so on. All right, so with this video here, I'm just going to really talk about general day, how things are, and then whatever topic that pops up to the brain, since I don't have a script or anything in front of me to read off of or look at or at a certain, angle, so here it goes. So today was pretty cute. The streets in DC was very calm. I was a little shocked because I had many conversations with a few friends of mine and also with a family member of mine. And we were under the impression, because of how the elections went and things like that and all of that nature, that the streets was actually going to be quite crazy until about Tuesday, Wednesday time frame, give or take. But no, 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 no. There was no road closures. I was like, yes, I could make some coins. I was so happy about that, child. I was like, woo, it was such a relief. When I tell you it was a relief, it was a relief. Mm. Yes. So, all right. It just popped up to the brain or membrane. All right. So, my self-employment journey. So, I've had issues with employment in the past because I'm transgender and been transgender now since 2009 into 2010. And so right now I'm approaching that 11th year. So a little over 10 years in transitioning as a female, right? And so I had no idea that in starting this transition, how hard it really gonna put me economically, to like properly function at these jobs. And I've learned a lot about human resources. I've learned a lot about management. I've learned a lot about being a team player, being punctual, all of those great things. Because at the very beginning of my work career, in my late teens, early 20s, I didn't really have much of a concept of responsibility. So some of this stuff was growing pains. But then once I got sharper, more like in my early 20s to mid 20s, then that's when it became crystal clear that it was discrimination based on me being transgender. But of course, a lot of these jobs, uh, they will find other reasons as of why uh, they're letting you go. Okay, they're not going to say transgender. Instead, they're going to say it was because of this. And oh man, they love it when you're aren't on time, when you have an attitude or it comes off like you're having an attitude, or if your performance isn't right, even if they made recent changes to whatever system or however your job is, so you basically have to be retaught your job all over again. A lot of these jobs, or I should say companies, can get away with a lot of drama. They can get away with a lot of shit. I was fired, falsely, wrongfully terminated at a job about a year, about, yeah, actually, no, it was a year ago today, a little over a year, about a year and a week today. Okay, last year, a week plus, right? I was wrongfully terminated. because I'm transgender, one. Number two, I'm very outspoken, and I generally don't like how I'm treated at work and things like that. Or if I feel as though something is wrong, I mean, I'll state my concern or what have you, and of course, I'll do it in a very professional manner. But oftentimes, any kind of suggestions I throw out there when it comes to work or whatever oftentimes get shrugged off to the side. And then when I let a person know or a boss know or whatever know about what's happening or what have you, it oftentimes gets shoved to the side. And next thing you know, I become a target. And this particular job was working at a warehouse. I managed or helped manage other delivery drivers that came in and out of the warehouse, and we had to pack various goods in the warehouse and do it within a timely fashion and things of that sort. And then we had a new management that came in and basically changed the whole feel of the warehouse by incorporating a new inventory management system. So basically, all the stuff that we were taught before this rollout of this inventory management system, we basically had to be retaught our jobs again. Okay. So I've made it very clear about some of the struggles that I've had as far as, coming to work on time and things like that. Now, don't get me wrong. A lot of times I have came to work on time. All right, fine. Um, Now, there were times where, yes, I was late. There were times where my performance wasn't at par, but I've managed to improve on my performance. This was before the rollout of the new inventory management system. And so, when the new inventory management system did come, I had stressed to my new manager because they fired my boss, and then my team lead was well, he wasn't let go. He got a dodge. So I guess he saw something that I didn't see at that time, but he did leave. So when they fired my boss, I was like, oh shoot, I could very well be next because I generally don't fit in corporate America anyway, generally speaking. But anyway, I took the job because I needed it. It was a full-time position. It had okay benefits. Healthcare was pretty decent. So it was cute, considering the fact that I'm in a whole new state. I was on the West Coast at that time. Portland, Oregon is where I worked at, and Salem, Oregon is where I lived. So between those two cities is an hour commute, 60 or so miles each way on Interstate 5. Okay? So, um, basically, I wasn't giving, or not giving, I'm sorry. I wasn't given the proper time to adjust with the new system. And I've made this clear to my new boss. And in the whole process of us talking about this and things like that, or the reason how we came to this discussion was that I wound up getting a final write up. Mind you, I never received a warning. I've never received an initial write up. What they decided to do was cut through some steps into like, what is it? Is it disciplinary action steps or what have you? Let's say if an employee isn't doing what they're supposed to do, or whatever changes that they're supposed to see and they are not seeing. So them steps were skipped. Those steps were skipped. I got a final, and I found myself explaining to this manager who does not care. Now, I understand a lot of bosses, well, not a lot of them, but quite a few of them, can be a bit assholes, can be a bit of a prick. They can be racists. They can be just a variety of different people. And basically, you'll know if you fit into their club or not because they give you so much more leeway than a lot of the other people in the team. I mean, that's just how it is. It really, not just at my job, but in a lot of workplaces, I'm sure. But okay, so the way how he did this, we've had a phone call conversation, and this conversation, instead of like us being like us talking in person in an office or something like that. This conversation was had over the phone via speaker on someone else's phone at a whole nother part of the warehouse, but it was enough, like it was enough space. Well, no, it wasn't even enough space. Um, People can still hear the conversation between what my manager is saying and what I'm saying. And I'm like, wow, this is so unprofessional. Why would you do something like this? And I was shocked to find out that I received this final write up. And I'm like, okay. And I guess because he didn't like the way I responded. Now, I responded to him very respectfully, but at the same time, I also addressed him, and I addressed him in the appropriate fashion. And I say, well, how is this final write up came to be? Like, there was no warning, there was nothing right before the final. So it's like, so what's going on? Like, what are the next steps? So, right before we got off the phone, there was a couple of exchanges. Now, I didn't cuss, I didn't yell, nothing like that. But he was very, what is it? He was very combative on the phone. And for me, I'm that type where I'm gonna address you. I don't care what level you are in management. If you're disrespecting me, I'm going to say something. And I felt strongly that he was disrespecting me. I didn't like that. And so, fast forward, fast forward. I finally do my training, right? I finally get trained on the new inventory management system that I had addressed to my manager over the phone that I wasn't getting. His whole thing was I had attendance issues, I had performance issues, and it was something else. I guess it was attitude or something like that. So I was like, okay, well, with performance, we had a new inventory management system rollout. Not everybody was there at the same time to receive the same level of training. And so we all have different schedules. I wasn't received that proper training. So of course, to make it seem like the manager gave a damn about me, he decided to put someone on and basically get someone like I guess a higher um, lead or like a shift lead or somebody like that to go and give me some training, with this new inventory management system. So I guess when they look back at it after they fired me and things like that, they couldn't say that they didn't train me. But that's bullshit. That was only one day, one shift, and it was only a couple of hours. This new inventory rollout, it could take up to a week to get thoroughly trained on this, and you have to be satisfied through each step of the way. And sometimes errors do happen when you're in training. That's what training is for, so you could know what you're doing, so you could be proficient at your job. Okay, so I finished my shift for the night. I drive from Portland to Salem. I get to Salem, and the next day rolls around, and I remember I was in the nail salon. Just getting my nails done. And I was supposed to have worked in the evening time. And I remember receiving a phone call from my manager, my new manager. And he said to me to not come in today. I was like, okay. And I if I'm not mistaken, because it's a little fuzzy, and I said, if I'm not mistaken, I believe I asked him why. And then he was like, well, they're doing like an investigation on some things or what have you, somewhere along those lines. And I was just like, an investigation? That's a bit strange. Okay. So I didn't think nothing of it. Well, I actually did. excuse me, because I felt as though that I was getting terminated. I was getting termed, and they was playing a game of cleanup. So something told me to download a voice recorder app on my phone. Something told me to do it because at that time, like, I was going through a lot. Yeah, I was juggling more than one job. Yes, I was doing food deliveries and I was doing other side hustles too, just to balance things out. It was a lot, managing a lot on my shoulders. It was just me, and I was like, all right, I want to record this conversation because when it goes down in the history books, it's going to show that I wasn't the problem. It's going to show that my manager was the problem and the folks around him was the issue. So, boom, I have all this extra time to myself. Fine. I forgot what else I did that particular day. Went on with my day. The following day, I was at my other job. I was working at Portland International Airport at that time. And I remember I was at lunch and I drove my personal car to the visitor lot or some lot, and then I was in a rental car or something like that, and I was, about to grab lunch. Boom. So that's when I got a call, and I not only was on the phone with my manager, but I was on the phone with the HR manager. Now, mind you, this HR manager I was trying to get a hold of for the longest time, and the conversation I've had at the warehouse between me and my manager, I had made it clear to my manager at that time that I do not like how I'm being treated in the warehouse. I'm going to need to go to someone in HR regarding these issues so we can at least come to some form of agreement or something, because I felt as though receiving this final was unfair, especially when I wasn't even given the proper chance to even get these things properly addressed or anything. So, of course, I recorded the conversation. Oregon law, this is legal to do. I am an included party, an included uh, class person, right? So I can do this. I record. Now I had to juggle lunch and all of that, so I wasn't even really in a place where I could sit down. So, but I'm really thankful. I'm so proud of myself for actually knowing how to compartmentalize and juggle, because I was a little overwhelmed with what I was doing, and then I'm managing this phone call, and I found out that this is my termination call. This is my termination call. And I let these individuals have it. I let them have it from A through Z. I went off. Not like going off, but it was more so of a concern that I had of how I was handled and how things were. And they made it clear to me that they've given me plenty of chances, or they've given me enough chance from the final write up to make adjustments. Well, here's the thing, you can't give someone a final write up on the 31st of October. And then on November 1st, you're saying to them on the phone, or I receive a phone call on the phone, via phone, saying not come in. And then on November the 2nd, receive a phone call saying I'm terminated. So, yes, I was frustrated, yes. But, of course, I had to make sure I keep a calm head, even though I was in a stressful situation in general. And I was even more irritated and annoyed about this lovely surprise phone call that I'm terminated. What? This is not real. How could I be terminated? So there you have it. And so with jobs, 9 to 5 jobs, they can be very tricky. And I know when I compare my 9 to 5 work and I compare my self-employment work, under the table money, if you add all of those things together, even without the under the table, just taxable income, it's far greater than my 9 to 5 work. Generally, 9 to 5 jobs, it's usually 3 to 6 months. It's when I last on these jobs. So, getting back to my job situation a little over a year ago, fully recorded the conversation, and I had posted it on my Facebook page. If people scroll back about a year ago, November 2019, they would have heard the recording. And me, I literally recorded while I was on live. Hit the record. Just so that people can know that I wasn't the issue. And even though if I was an issue, the main thing was, okay, I understand I wasn't a perfect employee. Absolutely. Okay, I can understand that. But the issue here mainly was how it was handled. That was the main thing for me. And I tried to get some form of legal counsel. Of course, I was struggling financially. I couldn't afford to go up against this company that has probably millions of dollars that have top counsel. I mean, I don't have that kind of funding. So long story short, couldn't afford counsel. I couldn't afford counsel, so I tried to go up against them because this was a wrong situation, and it still is a wrongful termination. But of course, they're gonna decorate it up and say I was late. My performance was this. My attitude was that. Da, 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 da. So that was that. But yeah, I just don't want to deal with 9 to 5s anymore. Really, shortly after that, I was just done. I didn't want to get another 9 to 5. I kept on doing my side hustles. I kept on doing my food deliveries, all the other stuff I was doing in the self-employed / 1099 independent contractor type work. And that's what helped me get through the holidays for Thanksgiving and Christmas and New Year's 2019 into 2020. So I'm very proud of myself for fighting through that fight. It was a tough battle for me. It was a very depressing time, but I fought through it all. So my message to you guys is to just be mindful. Don't depend heavily on 9 to 5 work. Always have multiple side income streams. Multiple income streams if you can. It's very key. It's very important to have it because you just never know. You can do very, very well the night before, and then you wake up the next morning and bam, you're either laid off or you're fired or whatever, or it could just been just a little small misunderstanding, and then bam, you got fired from your job for whatever reason. So let's keep that in mind. All right, so this video is a bit long, but that's all right. It's all right. We're getting through it. Y'all have a great night. Thank you so much for watching. Any comments you feel you want to throw out there, please do so. Comment below, like, share, subscribe. Have a good night, and talk to you all later on.